So yeah, he could really turn Georgia into this like crazy QAnon hellhole. I think.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe we'll see what happens there, but I mean, this is if like both Ossoff and Warnock win, and then in that period of recalculation for the Georgia Republican Party, Donald Trump is able to take over and influence the outcomes greatly. But it doesn't seem like right now, because this race is so close, it doesn't really seem like Loeffler or Perdue had a different approach to it. Like they couldn't do anything. They're Republicans, and Republican policies are not exactly popular ones in the time of a pandemic. You can try to advocate for reopening the economy all you want, but ultimately, I think more people probably believe that we should be taking at least some precautions, or more people think that we should give people money, and people are suffering ultimately, and they deserve money. The worst thing you can do as a Democrat or a Republican, if you are a neoliberal Democrat or if you are a regular old conservative Republican, the worst thing you can do is allow people the opportunity to feel like they are entitled to get more from their government. That's the worst possible thing you can do. Mitch McConnell knows that reality. It's part of the reason why he fights very hard in the Senate to make sure that nothing ever passes or nothing good ever happens to the American working class. Like, that is a long-term ideological project, and that's why Mitch McConnell makes these actions that would otherwise seem insane to the average person. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you give $2,000? Why wouldn't you ever concede to just giving $2,000 to working class, and then literally say, no, that's not true. We know how to work with Democrats when we have to. Well, that's because today you give them $2,000. Tomorrow they're going to want more. And I think that's really damaging to the Starve the Beast project, that the long-standing goals, the long-standing ideological project of conservative governance. So
he was so that project is so important to him that he was willing to risk the Senate to not give people the 1,400 of that 2,000, because he already gave him, he already agreed to the 600. So it was only, he was pot committed to that point. All he had to do was up it to 2,000 from there. But like, he couldn't do it, and I think you're right. Like it clashed too hard with his ideology. I think he thought he had a slightly better chance in Georgia than he did, and maybe he thought that, and he thought reasonably, he assumed that Democrats would not be as good as they were at capitalizing on that $2,000.
Yeah,
because given history, you would expect Democrats will fall on their face on this.
well, they almost did. They almost did fuck it
swinging
up
on it.
in the end there. Like, they didn't extend it as far as they could, and I was like, oh no. Luckily for luckily for the Democratic Party, you have Bernie Sanders, who was like, nope, that's not happening. We are absolutely pushing for this. I will filibuster. I will do everything I can. I will put every procedural burden I can on the process to make sure that, like, I will use the other gift that Donald Trump gifted the Democratic Party again by vetoing the NDAA, which had a veto-proof majority in both the Senate and the House. But still, like, that was, if it wasn't for the NDAA veto that they had to vote on to override, Bernie would not have had an opportunity to again put the 2K spending in the spotlight, because they had to come back, they had to deliberate on that. So that was also another, like, that was a double gift that Donald Trump basically gifted to the race here in Georgia, and that's precisely why this race is as close as it is to begin with, and might end up with Democrats winning. So let's talk about the future here. Do you personally think that Democrats will learn from this? Do you think that they will actually start agitating for certain things, or do you think that this is going to maybe even hurt their chances of consistently shifting blame over to the Republicans and Mitch McConnell and saying, oh, we just simply can't do anything because Mitch McConnell is in charge of the Senate, and oh no, good things are not possible. Because Democrats, and I'm a little skeptical, I'm a little cynical, I'm a pessimistic person, but I think Democrats hate doing things more than anything else. They love losing gracefully, and they hate actually having to legislate, because that means you're expending political capital. And expending political capital, especially when you're trying to pass legislation in an expedient manner, is going to mean you're losing seats in the long run, because you won't do what's necessary to push for the radical policies that people may or may not want. So what do you think is going to happen if
Yeah,
the Democrats control the Senate?
I think it will. I think it will change. Well, I think they'll pass the $2,000 checks. I think it'll be 1,400. There's already legislation there, but I think they will do that. Joe Biden is too on record at that rally that just in saying that you elect Ossoff and Warnock, we will immediately pass $2,000 checks, which everybody needs so much. Like the clip from him is just, it's too much. Like you can't go back on that. And I do think that Schumer has come around to the idea that doing things is going to be important for Democrats. He came up in a time in the 80s when the conventional wisdom was that Democrats had been beaten by Reagan and thrown out of power because they did too much, because they're tax and spend liberals who were too up in people's business. And Ronald Reagan killed him with his line, the scariest words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." And there was this massive shift in the zeitgeist around what government can and should be doing. And that's the political culture that people like Schumer came up in. But Schumer is an agile politician. Like he's somebody who wants to continue to amass power, wants to be majority leader, and wants to stay as majority leader. And so that's his number one primary objective. It's not anything else. If he can do it on the backs of Wall Street and insurance industry money, great. If he can do it on the backs of small dollars and unions, he's fine with that too. It doesn't matter. He just wants to be majority leader. But he's also a savvy politician. And so, he was the one that really was pushing Biden on $50,000 in student debt relief.
Yeah. Why do you think that was? Do you think he's worried about a primary challenge or something? Like, what was that? Because that came out of nowhere.
I think he's worried. I think he's a little worried about a primary challenge. I don't think he's necessarily worried that he would lose one. I think he's worried about having to run one. It would be embarrassing. It would be a sign of weakness, even if he won. Be a distraction from what he wants to do, which is try to become majority leader, which he may have finally achieved. And so partly it's that, but also I think he has recognized from a political cravenness perspective that that the parties and voters are sorted in such a way that what you need to do now is just feed your base good things, give them things that make them happy and make them want to vote for you. And if by doing that you can also peel off some people who are only loosely affiliated with Republicans who are like, "Oh, I got student debt, I'm for that," then all the better. I think that's his new calculus when it comes to how Democrats can build a lasting coalition, because that's what you have to remember. Politicians just want power, and whatever they think is the route that takes them to that power, that's the route they're going to go on. If it makes the world a better place, good. If it doesn't, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're going to do it.
Oh, we'll see. I mean, it's the Georgia, like the Senate, like vote totals currently in the race, by the way, do not see a change at all for Warnock, and Loeffler is increasing her lead. But I do think that again, it's all the way up to the remaining votes in DeKalb County, which will heavily favor Warnock and Ossoff.
New York Times is now giving Ossoff a 78% win probability. And Nate Cohn, the father of the needle, had said that he thinks the needle is being too conservative in its uncertainty estimates. So in other words, he thinks that it's higher than that. So that's on Ossoff, whereas, like we said, Warnock was hauled already by Wasserman, and Times is up to 92% likely on Warnock.
Yeah.
So they need a miracle. Republicans need a miracle to pull this out. Um,
I did not expect this outcome. I'm gonna be honest. I really thought like it was a toss up only because of the 2K battle that came out of nowhere in the last second there. But I really didn't think it was going to look like this at all. Um, Currently as it stands though, Loeffler is 64,000 votes ahead with the last with again DeKalb County, and David Perdue is 94,000 votes ahead with 1.9 million votes. Warnock still has more votes overall than John Ossoff, but it seems like it's going to wrap up with Democrats winning. I think that's what it seems like. Do you think what else is on Biden's agenda? Because people keep asking this question here in the chat, where is marijuana legalization actually going to be a thing? Like, I don't think that Joe Biden is interested in legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana, but I mean, there's a House bill out there. Like, what happens?
so Biden is not. Biden is the crime bill guy, as you know, the rave guy,
Yeah.
Rave Act. But Schumer is in fact a huge advocate for political purposes of legalizing marijuana. And so in a situation where Schumer has a sizable amount of power, he could insist that Biden just get behind that. And he'll have sizable power because Biden is going to want, XYZ element of his Build Back Better plan. His Build Back Better plans, like a ton of money for clean energy projects, for green infrastructure projects, for infrastructure in general, broadband, satellite internet. Basically upgrading the country.
That'd be awesome.
Community colleges, money for universities and colleges. Colleges and community colleges need a massive bailout. Particularly, you can just do it for crass political purposes. Again, if Democrats are overwhelmingly winning college graduates, you can't allow half the country's colleges to go bankrupt, because then they're producing Democrats. So if even if that's all you care about, you need them to keep producing Democrats. They produce, in a globalized world, the countries that have a knowledge economy, that have an educated workforce, are the ones that are going to have higher standards of living. The ones who don't won't. So you can't let that fall apart. We do have one of the best university systems in the world. We've let it devolve into this completely unaffordable monstrosity. But you can deal with that. That's just an accounting question. Fix that. So those are the kinds of things that are on the table.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, especially about college being a democratic factory for democratic voters. I don't know why. It's like the easiest. It's popular. It's a popular policy. It makes absolutely no sense. Republicans know that it is a Democratic Party brainwashing factory, I guess, and they literally preemptively argue against it all the time. And yet I don't see Democrats making a strong enough case for it for some weird reason, when it is, as you also mentioned, going to make the American labor force more competitive in the global marketplace. So it's really stupid that that's not something that they would immediately capitalize on. So what do you think about the potential bottlenecks if there is a Democratic majority? It seems like it might be. What do you think about the potential bottlenecks? Like, do you think Joe Manchin is going to stand against the Democratic majority, ruin it potentially? Do you think that blue dog Democrats in the Senate are going to be the next? Like, how many Joe Liebermans are we going to have, if we have any at all? And how do we deal with that?
You have many fewer than you had. Well, so in 2009 you had 60. You eventually had 60 Democrats, but you probably had a dozen of those that were Joe Lieberman types. you're down to many fewer uh, mansion types. Partly that's because their majority is smaller, but partly because Democrats are just a more uniform kind of progressive, center left party than they were before, as these parties have gone through their ideological sorting. The interesting fight is going to come around the filibuster. Now, there's an annual process to get a little inside in the weeds here. There's an annual process called budget reconciliation, which only requires 50 votes. And so at the beginning of the year, Senate passes a budget reconciliation instructions, which lays out what the Senate is going to be able to do in a massive bill with only 50 votes. And the rules around it are that it has to be budget related. Like you can't do abortion policy. You can't do a Voting Rights Act. You can't do policing reform. It has to be money. And you can do healthcare, but it can only, you can't do healthcare policy. You can only kind of throw money this way and that way at healthcare. You could spend money on infrastructure. You could spend money on clean energy. Spend money on tax breaks for solar companies or whatever homeowners who.
You could completely restructure subsidies, right? Like even this was something that the Biden administration, for example, ran on originally and then kind of changed quietly. But the Biden campaign said that they were going to completely restructure the way that our subsidies work for energy production, and claimed that not a single dime was going to be spent on fossil fuel subsidies, and all of that was going to be reappropriated to green energy, which I thought was an insane proposal. Like, I mean, it's great, but that's like Bernie Sanders level proposal. They quickly changed that somewhere along the campaign, like I think getting closer to the election. They also changed their stance on fracking as well, saying that like, oh no, we're not going to ban fracking. We're not going to ban fracking. They were like almost pro fracking for some weird reason. I mean, I know what the reason is, because they thought that was going to help them win Pennsylvania, when in fact you were writing about how that was not going to be as important in Pennsylvania as even Fetterman originally suspected it would be.
And even by the end, I asked Fetterman, and Fetterman was like, "No, nobody cares right now."
Yeah, and partially that was because of COVID, I guess, but that's something that they could do. Will they do it is the real question. Like the question I have now, or the fears that I have now, is basically that like even if there is a Senate majority, which it seems like it might be, I fear that even with budget reconciliation, I feel like that's not a tool that Democrats are going to want to use, regardless of the fact that it is a tool that they could use, and that they're going to pull a Obamacare on a lot of stuff. And what I mean by that is this: I have an opinion on this matter. I'm too young to have like been there basically for the ACA battle, but my speculation, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this. My speculation is that like the ACA was a market-based proposal, and that was whatever, it was originally the Heritage Foundation proposal and all that stuff, which wasn't great. It was a socialization was a necessity, but it was market-based, and it didn't go all the way. But the biggest problem with the ACA, I think, the reason why Democrats expended so much political capital was because of how long it took. Whereas you don't really see that with Republican battles. I mean, think about, in comparison to the ACA, think about how quickly Republicans pushed through tax cuts for the wealthy. And I feel like expedience is the best possible way that you can eliminate a significant proportion of political capital, because Americans hate gridlock more than anything. They might be split ticket voters. They might be fucking idiots in the way that they think like, oh, there should be a Republican Senate to keep the Democratic president in check. But ultimately, I think Americans fucking absolutely hate gridlock. They hate it when Congress can't get their shit together. And I think no matter how good the proposal is, the longer it takes to pass a proposal through, the longer it takes to push through any sort of legislation, the longer bandwidth and leeway you have for Republicans to lie about it. That's why you had the death panels. And the more politically unlikely it becomes, or the more politically unfavorable that policy becomes. Because you can't give the opposition enough time to message around it and just lie about it, pretty much. And I think that's the most successful way to do things. And Democrats, I think, are too cowardly to push for their actual legislative agenda in an expedient manner and always want to like compromise. And I think Joe Biden is literally one of the worst cases of this, and maybe even too much on the side of Mitch McConnell. What are your thoughts on this? This is what I'm fearful of.
Yes. Yes. Now no, that's correct. And I would add to that the ACA benefits also took too long to actually be felt. So it took 14 months or whatever to pass the thing. Passes in early 2010. It's not even really in effect. Budget gimmickry reasons, because the way that it was being budgeted was on a 10-year window, and they wanted to keep it under $1 trillion. And so they said, well, if we don't have this stuff take effect for 4 or 5 years, then we can say that within 10 years it's going to cost less than $1 trillion. Well, great. 2015, people still weren't really feeling the benefits of it. It was completely counterproductive, absurd, and cruel to people who needed help immediately and didn't get it. Millions of people that needed it. Turns out that the only real benefit of it, besides eliminating pre-existing conditions, was the expansion of Medicaid. The marketplace hasn't really helped anybody. It's unclear at all that has been much of a benefit. Now, the good news is that Schumer was in the Senate then, was watching this unfold, and he and Harry Reid were infuriated at the way that Obama was allowing Max Baucus to just drag out these negotiations for months and months and months. Problem for them was Barack Obama was extremely popular with the Democratic base, and what he said went. They don't have that same problem with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the guy that people voted for because they thought he could beat Trump, but nobody has the kind of love that they had for Obama. So I think they're going to be able to call their own shots in the Senate, unlike how President Obama called the shots his first couple years.
Yeah. I think that Chuck Schumer's a more of a pushover than Joe Biden is, though. Or maybe he reads the room better than Joe Biden does. I feel like Joe Biden is more inclined to be a centrist than new Chuck Schumer, new and improved Chuck Schumer is, as far as I've seen thus far. I mean, he is not very good at, like, obviously whipping his own caucus, or, I mean, we saw literally that exact thing happen with Dick Durbin, his own whip, going against what Chuck Schumer was technically saying on television, like, we're going to be in lockstep with Bernie Sanders, whereas his own, whereas Dick Durbin was like, absolutely not. There's no filibuster that's going to happen. There is no way to, like, stop the NDAA budget from, stop the military budget proposal from going through. You're being ridiculous. And that was at odds with what Chuck Schumer was saying, but it still feels like Chuck Schumer might be more inclined to push for progressive agenda items than Joe Biden would be. And I feel like Joe Biden will most likely go with his party wherever his party takes it, rather than like a Barack Obama type who had a very clear vision on how to run the government, and that revolved around, for some weird reason, conceding to the Republicans nearly every step of the way, even when you didn't need to, when you literally did not need to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hopefully this changes the calculus for them, that they see that if they offer people something real, that people will come out and vote for them. And it would be great if both parties just tried to turn elections into bidding contests. Go ahead, let the Republicans offer 4,000 next time. and
Yeah.
see where that goes. Like that's what politics should be about. Who can, who can compete to credibly make your life better?
Yeah, absolutely. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that not running on how bad Republicans are and allowing the cards to fall where they may is a worse way to run than just literally telling people like, we're going to give you money. If you vote for us, we're going to give you money.
Yeah,
the people that are literally stopping you from getting money are Republicans. The National Republican Party, led by Mitch McConnell, do not let Mitch McConnell be the majority, be the Senate leader. Do not let Republicans control the Senate, and you will get money. Turns out people respond positively to that. That's crazy. I mean, that's so wild. I never would have thought that would be the case. Oh my God. Except no, we've been fucking screaming about this for a very long time.
I thought if you just tell people you believe in science and you're going to restore dignity, that would be enough. But
yeah,
turns out
I hope that this translates.
Way to do it.
I hope that this translates, because even the likes of Ezra Klein are coming on board with this notion now. But Ezra Klein always has like wishy-washy takes like this. He always takes like the middle ground approach where he's like seemingly progressive, but then all of a sudden he'll just say some shit where you're like, what? But like that goes against what you're saying. But the political lessons Democrats should learn from this, as Annie Lowry would say, just give people money. Don't get too clever with it. Don't do complicated tax cuts and hard to apply for programs. When people need help, just help them and trust them to use the money well.
Yeah. His wife.
Oh, that's his wife?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Inside baseball, dude. Everybody's related to one another in the media. Yeah, that makes sense. This applies to healthcare too. Just give people healthcare. Don't take what they have away. Open Medicare to anyone over 50. Create a public option with Medicare pricing power. It's free for those who need it and available. That's literally, you're complicating it. You're betraying the original argument that you made, which is like Medicare for all is very simple.
Already.
I don't know why he has such a big boner for like, he has a big anti-Medicare for all boner. Anyway, it's fine. Anyone over 50, he says. Okay. All right. Well, Ryan, I don't want to keep you any further. It seems like this is pretty obvious is what's going on here, even though people are freaking out on my end, saying, oh no, we lost. Oh no, Democrats lost. What are we to do? Because they're looking at the vote totals currently without factoring in like the remaining counties. But luckily, that's why they're not doing analysis and they're just watching the election instead.
Yes. Yes. Go to the New York Times Needle, guys. Stop freaking out.
I mean, I hate the needle, so I wouldn't use that as the only source of hope there. But anyway, thank you for coming, Ryan. Where can people find you?
Thank you for having me. Well, check out the Deconstructed podcast over at The Intercept. A good one out today, and we're going to have an interesting one later this week. Interviewed Pramila Jayapal about where Medicare for All is going from here and what she thought of the whole force to vote thing. I
gotta have you on to talk about that as well. I gotta have you on to talk about that whole force to vote fiasco as well. Eventually, soon, and like how that went.
Need a debrief on that and how something like that can never happen again. Good Lord.
Yeah, that was not a good look for the left, but luckily. Because the media just it refuses to even acknowledge that the left exists, especially the online left, unless it's literally Bernie Sanders and they can use that as a cudgel or a weapon against Bernie Sanders. Thank God no one talked about it in mainstream media. So that was good. That was the one benefit to this entire predicament overall.
Yeah, the tree fell and nobody heard it. So
thank God. So it didn't fall. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryan.
All right, man.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
All right, that was Ryan Grimm of The Intercept, Washington, D.C. bureau chief of The Intercept, and also the host of the very popular politics podcast, Deconstructed. Okay? Yeah, that was inverted Hassan like in Tenet versus Hassan that is not inverted like in real
tonight,
life.
We still don't know when, but we'll be here to report it out.
What about the early votes that arrived by mail?
Yes, I know Donald Trump is malding. It does not matter, okay? Yes, Donald Trump is malding. I do not care. It literally doesn't matter that he's fucking malding. And yeah, it's just, it doesn't matter. Yeah, oh, Pennsylvania votes, whatever. Shut the fuck up. Stop. Like, he's literally like a baby. Remember that Donald Trump is like a baby. He just wants he just wants attention right now, and his party is fucking falling apart. And who gives a shit? Fuck him. Polling is broken. If Warnock wins by 2 and Ossoff wins by 1, as the New York Times Needle now predicts, that would, among other things, be a much needed outstanding performance for pollsters. Damn, Nate Silver is like, he's on one, dude. I wonder why he wasn't invited to any of the shows tonight to give analysis. Nate, you can come onto my broadcast, brother, if you want.
Mr. Sterling was saying 171,000 votes. Democrats, we expect to get about 80% of those votes if it continues to track what we've been seeing in DeKalb County. So that could potentially be game changing. Now, again, we want to see the votes come in. We'll see if there's a discrepancy between two officials on the ground. They'll be on the phone. They'll work it out. We'll see if it stays that way. But if you're Raphael Warnock, you're up in 82% here. John Ossoff, you're getting 81% here. The question is, if that 60% outstanding, 58% outstanding is only 130,000 votes, even if you get 80% of it, it's not. Now, there are still some other votes out here. There's still, we're not done everywhere else, but that's the biggest basket of votes. And if it was 171,000 and you get 80%, it's enough to overcome that. If it's 130,000 and you get 80%, it gets you a whole lot closer, but it's not enough to overcome it. So that's a big change in the math, and we'll continue to watch as it comes out. The biggest way to understand, is to report them. And DeKalb County is by far the slowest of Georgia's counties doing its work tonight. And so then you're asking, is there anything else out here still? Gwinnett's up to 95. Fulton's up to 99. If you're the Democrats,
I gotta run a fucking ad.
it's great. You got 73% of the vote in Fulton County, but you're done.
Top of the hour, every hour, 6-second ad break. I didn't run one at 7 p.m., so I'm gonna run one now. If you'd like to no longer see the ads, and if you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your wife's boyfriend's Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account by getting one free monthly Twitch Prime subscription. Hit that fucking button now. The ad is starting now, and then I'm going to run another one at literally the top of the hour. Sorry, folks. Okay. What is the prediction?
A hill, but still a steep hill.
Oh, there's a new Gamba, too.
Against Kelly Loeffler.
There's a new Gamba.
Nick says they're going to work through the night.
A new Gamba.
88% right now. 82,000 votes for Senator Loeffler. 113,000 plus and change for Senator Perdue. Republicans are getting more confident, but we still have some votes to count.
Once again, in Chatham County and Savannah, what percentage is outstanding?
Up to 82.
18% still outstanding.
18% still outstanding, but look at the numbers. Just in terms of it's a very important base of Democratic votes, but it's a smaller base of Democratic votes. And the turnout we're seeing, at least, we'll see what the final numbers come in. That's an estimate, that 82%. But again, you're looking at 54% for John Ossoff there with 82%. And if you go back, Joe Biden had 78%. So we know turnout would drop. It's not a presidential election, but early voting broke records. This turnout for a runoff will break records. The question is, how close do you get to the presidential number? And you're seeing here that it's well below. It's well below here. And again, the question will be, and we have to get to the finish line first, then you'll have the post-mortem about where was turnout up, where was turnout down, where did we meet our metrics or not. Chatham County is a place I'm looking at right now, thinking the Democrats probably aren't meeting where they thought they needed to be. And so you're just moving around other Democratic areas. Richmond County at 95%. So if you're the Democrats and you're seeing that number above 100,000, above 113,000, you're saying, where can we get it? The only place that has giant pools of votes, that size votes, are here in the Atlanta suburbs, especially that Fulton, Atlanta, and the largest suburbs right around it is mostly in. If that's at 99%, and you're Democrats, you start thinking, 100,000 votes? Can we make that up? That's a steep hill, Wolf. And again, we'll wait. We need these votes to come in. But with that being the only big basket of Democratic votes still outstanding, you're looking at 113,004 there. You're looking at 82,000 there. Raphael Warnock has a better chance to see. We'll see what DeKalb comes in, but we need those votes.
Bro, 30 minutes ago, there was 171,000 votes that are still remaining in DeKalb County where, like, Democrats have a clear lead. Like, radical liberal Raphael Warnock will make up that fucking disparity, brothers. Like, do not worry. Fear not. Okay? I don't know why you are fearful when you should be fearless. Okay? The real fearful moment is about waiting for the big cities in GA to produce their laughably lopsided votes for the Dems. The cities always report last so they can see how many votes are needed. Dude, come on, dude! And Coulter! What a fucking freak! Oh my lord! The last 4 years have me thinking to prepare for the worst, so I assume the worst at all times. Can I be happy? So I can be happy when something good happens. I mean, dude, don't be happy. Like, don't worry. I will fucking doom pill you after this victory, if there is a victory, by the way. But
Democrats need them both. Democrats need them both, and the consequences are enormous. A 50-50 Senate gives Joe Biden a chance, as we said. You know, he controls the agenda. It's not easy. You can't pass big things, 50-50, but it's a lot easier. You'll have a different set of headaches. Progressives would be demanding bold change. If you have the Senate majority, you'd rather have that headache than Mitch McConnell controlling what comes to the floor of the Senate.
Yeah, let's see what happens in DeKalb County. We're watching this very closely. David Chalian, what are you seeing?
Wolf, we've been tracking all night as the vote has been coming in, how much of the vote that's in is early vote versus election day vote. Right now, 88% of the estimated vote is in. We're waiting for that last 12% to find out who's going to win these races. Jon Ossoff, 1.867 million. David Perdue, 1.981 million right now with 88% in. How much of this vote that's in there is pre-election early vote? Take a look. It's down to 73%. You remember earlier in the evening, way earlier, it was 74% when you first came to me. Now it's down to 73%, and that is right at what we expect the overall early vote to represent. We think it'll be at 72%, but it's right there. So now it has come down as more election day vote has come in. That's why we see David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler with the leads in these races right now. More of that Republican-friendly election day vote has come in. Now we're down at the percentage that we expect to see of the early vote versus the election day vote. Same thing in the Warnock-Loeffler race.
Uh-oh.
Absentee by mail, early in person. We expect it to be at the end of the night.
Uh-oh. Radical liberal Kelly Loeffler is taking over.
I love
Kelly Loeffler is taking over the fucking the CNN stream, brother. Let's see where the fucking MSNBC boys are at. I want to see a little bit of Kornacki. I'm a little bummed that they don't have the NBC as they usually do. Like, usually NBC at least has a live stream on YouTube, and they don't have it this time around. Ossoff is canceled? Why? Looking forward to your write-up on the new Imagine Dragons album. Are you guys fucking mining Jon Ossoff's, like, shitty takes from when he was, like, a media guy? Is that what you're doing right now? Because don't do that. All right, let's see what Kornacki's got.
Precincts we're not quite sure this is all the vote.
He was the fucking hammer.
It's very, very close. But again, the Biden standard 72-6. Warnock comfortably above that at this point with this much vote in 1.1 points above it. You know, and there's Ossoff teetering above it. Yeah. You know, yeah. And you were saying, Rachel, 72.9 in Fulton and 73.7 in Fulton, almost a full point in a county that's 10% of the state. Yeah, that can add up. You know, a margin here for Warnock of 205,000 votes. You know, a margin for Ossoff of 198,000. That's a difference of 7,000 votes between them in that county. So, yeah, I think we see in the Atlanta metro area. Let's see if we can pull up another one here. You know, Clayton County. Look, Ossoff is above the Biden number in Clayton County, 88.4. Warnock's only 1/10 of a point above him there. You know, Warnock 1/10 of a point above. They're both above the Biden number there. I think the Democrats have been getting numbers out of the Atlanta metro area that they wanted to see. These numbers so far that they've been seeing are right where you would think, if Democrats put out a map, exceed Biden, they've been exceeding Biden where they need to. We showed you a number of these small rural counties with large black populations. You know, we were seeing Democrats 2-3 points above the Biden number in a lot of these counties. The percentage of the vote in a lot of these counties was significant, black populations. Again, you were seeing Warnock and Ossoff both above the Biden number, but Warnock just a little bit above, where Ossoff was. So they were both exceeding it there, but Warnock was exceeding it by a little bit more. When I look at this tonight, where was there bad news so far for Democrats? Look, the worst news for Democrats could be if they don't get what they're hoping for out of DeKalb here when that comes in. But otherwise, Cherokee County, this ended up being bad news for Democrats tonight. With what's in so far, Republicans
GOP lead is steadily grown, but it's made no dent in our estimate. In fact, Democratic changes have inched upwards as the GOP opportunities to beat our expectations to come back gradually dwindle.
Bedroom community county, again, 2 points above the Trump number there. So Republicans sort of in these exurbs, not all of them, but some of these sort of big population dense, exurban counties, Republicans are hitting pretty good numbers there. So it's not everywhere has been good news for Democrats tonight. But again, Atlanta metro and rural counties with significant black populations, Democrats have exceeded Biden. I think you've seen that pretty steadily tonight.
What I'm seeing when I look at that is that there are some parallel situations. I was just going down in my notes through the big population, most Republican counties. And as you're pointing out there, in Cherokee County, in Forsyth County, I'd be interested in looking at like Hall County and Paulding County and stuff too. But we are seeing in those places that the Republican Senate candidates are outpacing Trump a little bit. But on the other side of the ledger, the counties in which Democrats are outpacing Biden a little bit are much bigger counties with many more votes, where 2/10 or 3/10 above the Biden standard is going to be a larger number in absolute terms when you get down to it. And let us not forget that the Biden standard was a winning number in Georgia, and the Trump standard was a losing number in Georgia. And so it just feels to me like Republicans have to put it together from so many different places right now, whereas Democrats just got to look in one place, because when those numbers come in DeKalb, that's going to be the ballgame.
Yeah, and I mean, again, one way to look at this too, I think, Rachel, along the lines of what you're saying here, is it's a 98,000 vote lead for David Perdue. Again, it's just DeKalb. We don't need to repeat it for the millionth time right here. But remember that Jon Ossoff back in November finished 88,000 votes under David Perdue. When everything was in, Perdue had 88,000 more votes than Jon Ossoff. I don't know how this is exactly all going to shake out here, but I don't think Ossoff is, even if Ossoff loses this, it's not going to be by 88,000 votes. Ossoff has improved since November. I think that's very clear. And Ossoff has improved since November. Ossoff has improved since November. It's also clear Warnock is going to finish 25 to 30,000 votes, it looks like, better than Ossoff in this thing. So Ossoff's made strides. Warnock is outpacing Ossoff. So Democrats made up ground from November. We'll see again with DeKalb if that ends up being enough to put them over the top in the state. But what we're saying about the half a point here, the point here, the 2 points in these rural counties, offset a little bit, but not entirely, by what Republicans do in the exurbs.
Can't wait for Joe Biden to still be like, we need to concede to the Republicans every step of the way. Like, I totally don't think that he's going to use budget reconciliation as a very obvious weapon to push for any sort of measure, any sort of progressive policy that he absolutely could.
Reporting DeKalb County is the lion's
share. Or even if he does, Joe Manchin is going to be Mr. Deficit Hawk.
Sake, DeKalb County is a majority black county. It contains about 10% of the city of Atlanta. In the November presidential election, it was 83 to 16. Biden over Trump. And so as we wait for a significant portion of DeKalb County, more than 50% of DeKalb County to come in, particularly early vote, and vote that is likely to trend just as Democratic as anything else in that county, that's where Democrats' hopes lie in terms of both of these candidates being able to make up the difference between them and the Republican leaders right now and potentially surpass them. That's where things stand right now, and that's why we are pushing toward 11 o'clock, going tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. We're going to take a quick break right now and come back as soon as we get those numbers in. Stay with us.
I'm going to run probably another ad, too, just to make up for the previous ad that I had. Wait. Remembering the greatest campaign of all time? Yeah. Yeah, this was so good. David Perdue, totally exonerated, no wrongdoing. It was so good. It was so fucking good, dude. I mean, come on, dude. Come the fuck on. It's like that super old fucking cliche joke where it's like the "I'm not a pedophile" t-shirt I'm wearing is answering a lot of the questions that people keep asking me about the t-shirt. You know what I mean? New Chrisman tweet alert. He did it. The bastard went and did it. He jacked us off. He jacked us all off. Damn. What an ad to get people to vote for you. Yeah, Gabriel Sterling just tweeted that CNN was wrong and that DeKalb County has 171,000 votes. Outstanding. Big frost off. Yeah, I already mentioned that. Disappointed that my totally exonerated t-shirt never came in. Proud Boys are losing their minds in fucking DC. Life is good, boys. Life is good today. You know, being a progressive, you gotta remember that, like, QAnon idiots used to be my friends who voted red in DeKalb. Being a progressive, you got to remember that, like, most of these wins are not necessarily wins for the progressive cause all that much, but, you know, marginal. Oh, here, I wanted to show you guys a video, a quick video. Mitt Romney is on a flight on his way to DC. Turns out the flight is full of patriots. Let's see how they fucking greeted Mitt Romney, folks.
What we think!
Okay, also, I got to run an ad real quick as well. Again, sorry that I'm running 2 back-to-back ads here, but I didn't run one at the top of 7. So, second ad here, top of the hour, every hour while I go pee, while this video plays as well. If you want to avoid the ads, you know what the deal is. You can subscribe. Here's the ad. Okay.
Traitor! 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 Resign, Mitt! We want to know your connection to Burisma and Joe Biden, Mitt Romney. Your constituents want to know why you are not going to certify the Electoral College. We won't. Mitt Romney, you don't listen to your constituents.
Not us. It's never us.
You're one of maybe like a million who think opposite of you.
We're all paying press.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, do I run this again? Is it worth it? I was peeing. I didn't see.
We want to know your connection to Burisma and Joe Biden, Mitt Romney. Your constituents want to know why you are not going to certify.
Wait, I'm confused. Where is he? Like, there's no way he's sitting in fucking pleb class. Like, Romney is literally definitely far, far ahead in first class. Like, I'm surprised he's not private jetting it. Like, there's no way this is real. Mitt Romney doesn't fucking fly. Mitt Romney doesn't fly in fucking a commercial flight, dude.
You're one of maybe like a million who think opposite of you.
We're all paying press.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No first class because of style of plane. So what? Mitt Romney doesn't fucking fly in that style of plane. More of Mitt getting bullied at the airport? Wait, really?
How you doing?
Put your mask on.
Don't tell me what to do.
Please put your mask on. It's required by law in this airport.
I'm standing 6 feet away.
I'm sorry. It's required in this
Okay, I'll
airport.
tell you
Put
what,
your
because
mask
you know
on.
what? I'm going to go ahead and do it because I want to have a chat with you. Why aren't you supporting President Trump?
I do support things President Trump does that I think I agree with.
You're not supporting him.
I'm sorry, I do agree with many of the things he is for, and I support those things.
Are you going to support him in the fraudulent vote system?
What?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
Wait, why the fuck is he not flying in fucking first class? Where is he? What is he sitting on? Like, why is there like a official seal on his seat? Where is his security? Kind of feel bad, never feel bad for Mitt Romney. Are you fucking crazy? Are you insane? Why in the ever-loving fuck would you ever feel bad for Mitt Romney? Guys, we're talking about Mitt Romney. Like, do you know how fucking wealthy he is, dude? What? He has a literal fucking elevator for his cars, dude. Oh, election administrator talking about
Standing
the cab.
votes. Gabriel, do you think there are throughout the state?
Frankly, Wolf, I don't know right now because I've been having to answer questions every 2 minutes from people. We know there are a bunch out there. On top of the 171,000, we know there's another 12,000 election day votes that have to come in DeKalb County alone. But we have lots of counties that have no advance to no election day votes in, and some of those are Republican counties.
John King has a question for you, Gabriel.
When you say you don't know the total universe, you mentioned in your conversation with Ann.
Why does that stop us from feeling bad? Being rich isn't some free pass to shit on someone. He has some integrity as a Republican, which I would cheer. Just because he's rich is not the reason why you should feel bad for him or not feel bad for him. Obviously, like, I mean, I make more money than a lot of people as well, and I sometimes feel bad, and I let that frustration out routinely. The difference is Mitt Romney is a Republican senator. These are his demons, okay? These are the people that he literally ran as the president for against Barack Obama. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, not only is he responsible for Bain and the actual firing of numerous, like, if not hundreds of thousands of American fucking workers, but he himself has become a multimillionaire in the process, and he's a Republican senator who ran for president. These are his fucking people. Are you guys fucking crazy? Just because he like said he was he had integrity in a moment where he didn't have like that much to lose overall? Get the fuck out of here, dude. He's a staunch civil rights activist. Lefties in chat care more about class than anything else. It's so infuriating. A staunch civil rights advocate? What the fuck? What are you, fucking nuts, dude? It doesn't even have anything to do with fucking class. He's a Republican. Dude, that's such a dumb, delusional take. I'm sorry, but like, you are out of your fucking mind if you think Mitt Romney is like a civil rights advocate. Why? Because he said Black Lives Matter? What is going on, dude? Y'all are fucking crazy, dude. Holy shit. This motherfucker was in favor of ACB. Where's the civil rights advocacy there? Huh? Huh? Amy COVID Barrett. Where was his staunch opposition to someone who will work to dismantle civil rights in this country? Where was that then? What are y'all, crazy? God damn, dude. Liberals are so fucking gullible. Holy shit. All you need to do, yeah, so is Logan Paul, by the way. A staunch civil rights advocate because he said Black lives do matter. Oops.
States of America. People are watching here throughout the country. People are watching all over the world, and they're seeing democracy in Georgia right now. Gabriel, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Wolf. And one more thing. Go Dogs.
Okay. Okay. All right, John.
All politics is local. All sports is local.
Can I just add go Bills?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to say congratulations, so I'll do it right here. People are worried about the Georgia Senate races, but amen for your Bills this year. Look, what we just heard is very significant, very significant. And he's right. We should give grace to these local officials who are tired. He says a local official just instead of 171 said 117. We'll watch. Let's watch. We've been through an interesting night and an interesting follow-up to a very interesting election cycle. We'll see if there's another dispute about the numbers, and we'll see how quickly come in. But the idea that if it's 170,000 plus versus that much smaller number, this could be the difference in these races because Democrats are getting 80% or more. If Democrats get 80% or more of those votes, each of these Democratic candidates could pick up net more than 100,000 votes. Could be 102, could be higher. Depends. Are you at 80? Are you at 79? Are you at 83? We'll watch as this plays up. But you could have a net of 100,000 votes or more just from those votes in DeKalb County. Now, if you're John Ossoff, it's probably not enough to get you past David Perdue, but it would get you very close,
Thanks,
right? It would get you very close.
535.
And if you're Raphael Warnock, if you have a net gain of 100,000 votes, well, then you're suddenly in the lead in this race here. So these votes in DeKalb County, and again,
this motherfucker runs for president on the Republican ticket, okay, gets fucking cumstered, and then a couple years later doesn't speak out against Republicans when Republicans are like routinely fucking doing racial agitation and shit. All of a sudden he says like Black Lives Matter when it is politically appropriate for him to do so, just like moderate Democrats do. Or he says normal things like, you know, you should get vaccinated or wear a mask. And everyone's like, oh, dude, oh my God, he's a literal fucking hero. Why do you think people are, I'll never understand why people are so desperate to find like heroes in the Republican Party when in fact there are rarely any fucking heroes in the Democratic Party to begin with. These people are all, none of them are your friends. They're all pieces of shit for the most part. They're all self-interested, and they all absolutely play a significant role in this unjust system that keeps most working class individuals oppressed, okay? That's the fucking reality. And Mitt Romney is on the worst side of that spectrum just by sheer virtue of being a Republican. Thank you, Runnin' Roman. I'm sorry, guys. Like, thoughts on John McCain? Do not get me started on John motherfucking McCain. Revolutionary, pro-Vietnam, North Vietnam Liberation Front warrior John McCain, who downed more fucking fighter jets than the Vietnamese did individually. And any individual Vietnamese ever did.
And as Mr. Sterling noted, then you're going around the state. What about the Republican counties? Where are there places where you know Republicans are going to gain? So what are you looking at? Reliably Republican counties like Forsyth? Well, they're up to 99%. So if you get something there, it's going to be pretty small. You move over here to Cherokee County. These two counties were absolutely critical. Democrats were ahead early. The Republicans came back, but you're at 99%. You come up here, Pickens County, 58th. You know, they're not, as he said, I said they're small. Not all of them are tiny. There's a decent amount of votes here, but you see 11,000 votes. In the Atlanta suburbs, we're talking about tens of thousands of votes, sometimes more than 100,000 votes total. It's a smaller total here, but something to pick up. A place like Gilmer County, again, 61 of 159, but only 74%. So there are some Republican votes here, a couple hundred votes there, a couple votes. This gets really close. This is what we're going to be going through late into the night, into the early morning, and potentially, Wolf, given our track record here for the next couple of days. I'm just moving across the top of the state just to see at 95% here. This here, Whitfield County.
You're going to need to see the gyno after this, big man. What? You're talking to me? Lol, chat, malding, MAGA. 40K ahead, cry libs. W for Purdue, cry chat. Chill, bruh. Following since 2 hours ago. How convenient. More overnight shipments for the Dems. No, now that the Dems hate women when they beat them. Okay, here, let me tell you something. Bitch. Here, I'll just show you this instead. If you knew how to read, you would read that these beads on my arm says, steal the vote, okay? But you're a Republican, so you don't know how to read. But hey, if you did, you would be able to read that it says, steal the vote. Okay, get better at stealing the vote, bitch. Okay, keep crying. Keep crying, little bitch. Sorry. This motherfucker is so oblivious that he's literally like, Purdue's winning. First of all, even if Purdue won, which he's not going to, it doesn't seem like it. But even if he did, that's not a W for you, you dumb fuck. Are you the Republican Party? Is that, I didn't realize that the literal fucking oil barons were in my chat getting excited for another